Let's see here. There we go. It's not exactly the worst positioning of a light there's ever been. Back for another couple hours, I guess. Hey, Margot. I did like your writings. Can you remind me what the first thing in my title is? I know I've got the Bryon Noem scandal. Trump lies for 20 minutes straight. But I feel like there was something else. Oh, yeah. The Border Patrol homicide. Yeah. Hopefully that won't cripple me in the algorithm, but we need to talk about it. Ice baby, you say, as reports start coming out that a person who was arrested by Border Patrol and dumped at some hospital in Buffalo later died, and reports are now surfacing that he was killed. That this person was not, they didn't suffer from a medical condition and just die by coincidence. No, they were killed, likely by someone in Border Patrol. I'm not familiar with what happened. From my understanding, there was a gentleman that got arrested by Border Patrol in New York, was later released by Border Patrol, just kind of dumped haphazardly in front of a hospital. That man later died, and the coroner's report is suggesting that it was homicide. In other words, the United States' cruel and unjust immigration system has taken another life. Totally maliciously. Hi, Joseph Sola. I feel like engaging in... Oh, shit, 1 second. I feel like participating in your chat decreases cognitive function sometimes with how dumb people are. Imagine how I feel. I gotta run the freaking things. How about we can dim that a bit? Quite safely. Yeah, no, that just doesn't look as good. Nope. Looks worse. It's not exactly flattering lighting, but it's what we've got to work with. Shrooms, ever tried? Sure, I've tried shrooms. You cold out there, Phoebe? Not tonight, no. Tonight it's a beautiful night. Beautiful night. if I didn't have a burn ban on the county I live in, then tonight would be a good fire night, like literally the perfect night for a fire, where you don't even really need the fire, but with the fire, it just makes it feel perfect and so nice. Without a fire, I'm still pretty comfortable. I'm not warm, but I'm not cold. Did anyone watch the Artemis 2 launch? No, honestly, I usually watch a lot of news, but I didn't cover a lot of the big stuff that happened today. Not like I didn't catch a lot of it either. It looks rad, like a cool spooky movie. Nice. You know, putting the lighter guards on your jacket as code on the street for smoking meth? Really? Because I lived on the road for 2 fucking years around tons of people that did meth and tons of people that wore patch jackets. And the Venn diagram of people who wore patch jackets with the lighter trophies versus people who wore patch jackets without the lighter trophies was exactly as big as the amount of crust punks I knew who smoked meth, which was actually quite few. Crust punks prefer other drugs, actually. They're going around the moon. It's an interesting thing to see. I mean, I'm glad to see that our country is once again trying to go to space. I wish that we could, get universal health care or rebuild our roads. That'd be nice. But space is good too. I'm not complaining. What exactly are you doing outside? I just feel more comfortable outside. I get kind of bored and burned out doing the streams in the shooting area that I've got inside the little office trailer thing. It's a really bright environment because there's 2 big old lights on me at all times, and it feels a little bit samey after a while. Plus, I tell you what, I don't know if this is something that I developed when I was living on the road, or if it's something that I developed at a different point in time, because I remember always being more paranoid inside than I was outside, even before I lived on the road, but I feel like it got way worse after I did. I don't really feel paranoid ever outside for longer than a minute or two, but inside, I always, no matter what's going on or what's happening, I always have this little nibbling sense of paranoia. But, like I said, I don't experience it when I'm outside. I think there's just something in some people, you know? We need to be outside. We live in a society that basically structures our lives around being inside. But I think a lot of people, honestly, quite enjoy being outdoors. What's the largest kind of bicycle you can lift over your head without any help? I don't know. I've never tried. I've never had like a bunch of bikes lined up in front of me and been able to pick between them and figure out which one I can lift the best and most easily. You look like a white supremacist? Do I? I mean, I'm not. But like, do I? I've looked up lots of pictures of white supremacists in my many years of arguing against MAGA people and conservatives online, and I can't remember any of them looking like me. The vest makes me... Oh, well, it's not my fault you associate punk aesthetic with skinheads. Skinheads appropriated punk aesthetic, not the other way around. What's your take on white privilege? A real thing, often misunderstood. A lot of people think when they hear white privilege, they think, oh, well, if that was true, and then that would mean my life would just be so fucking easy, because I'm white. But that's not what white privilege means. It just means you're not going to experience that particular axis of oppression. You're not going to get denied housing because you're white. You're not going to get denied employment because you're white. You're not going to get denied opportunities for promotion because you're white. I just joined and I see someone vaping. What are live streams now? I'm not vaping. Are you 12? There's no good slurs for white people? Oh, yes, there are. Oh, yes, there are. I don't think I can say them on YouTube anymore, though. I think YouTube's been cracking down on that kind of thing just generally. None of them really hit, though. You just need to know the specific slurs for the specific white ethnicities you're going towards. A common slur for English people, for example, is limey. Common slur for Irish people and Scottish people is Mick. Common slur for common slur for Germans is Kraut. Common slur for Frenchmen is frog. Common slur for Italians is... What is the one for Italians? Wop. You're thinking of greaser? No. Greaser, as far as I know, is supposed to be a slur for Mexican people. And we only believe in slurs against white people around here. I hope there's a draft. Well, you could just go sign up right now. What's stopping you? I can tell you what's stopping me. The fact that I'm trans. And the fact that I don't want to fight an illegal war for Israel. That too. But, even if there was to be a draft implemented, they're not going to take my ass. I'm so bored and ready not to deal with dumbasses anymore. I'm trying to move off grid as I can manage. People suck where I live, and I'd rather not leave my home. A lot of people are starting to feel that way. Personally, I think the better option between going completely off grid and not leaving your house is moving to a place where you can stand the people. But I understand in some cases that's easier said than done. Oh my god, I finally found one. Yay! You're literally white, so why not advocate for your race instead of trying to bash it? I don't identify with whiteness, bro. I'm white by coincidence only. My ancestry contains such a wide composition of different ethnicities. It's very clear there was no mission. There was no plan. My ancestors didn't give a fuck about the color of skin of the person they were fucking, so I don't know why I should. I'm 99% white and about 0.5% black and about 0.5% Iranian. And that tells me that my ancestors did not have many qualms about fucking people that didn't exactly look like them. Not to mention that, but the 99% of me that's white is an amalgam of all of Europe, basically. But yeah, I feel no reason to identify with the white race, quote unquote. Not only because I don't like think that it's like something like I don't even know if I like would even belong to the hypothetical category, but the fact that it's a hypothetical category is actually my main problem with it. I don't think whiteness actually exists. I think it's just a way for people to rally around a trait that enables them to oppress a specific minority of people in order to coerce them into continued economic exploitation year over year. That would be called a Heinz 57 complete mix of races. I don't care what you call me, as long as you call me for dinner. But I will say, I find it hard to have animosity for people that don't look like me when I can look at 23andMe and tell that at least 1% of my DNA comes from people that don't look like me. Oh, wait, I don't need to smoke this one off camera. You're white? I never said otherwise. I said I don't identify with the white race because I think it's a bullshit construct peddled by people who have something to gain from dividing people. So, now that we've got quite a few people in here, make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap your screen, or just hit the button, whichever one you got available. And let's get into the topics that I had ordained at the top of the stream. So, the coroner's report on the immigrant that was arrested by Border Patrol and dumped surreptitiously and unceremoniously in front of a hospital in Buffalo has come out, and it reveals that it was a homicide. So it's very likely that Border Patrol has killed yet another person in their custody and did not even have the good graces to report it, send it up the chain of custody, nothing like that. Nope. They just dumped this poor dying motherfucker in front of a hospital in Buffalo and hoped for the best. Under our current administration, I can't imagine any charges are going to come of this, but these are the kinds of events that we need to keep in mind whenever we do have a different administration, and we cannot let whatever the next administration is get away with not prosecuting these people. We have to stay on their asses from day one. It has to be chief amongst our goals. The Nazi tendency that is rising in America must know that this is not the way forward for anyone, that nobody is going to hold hands with them and march side by side into the apocalypse like they want. And I genuinely believe at this point that the only way that happens is if we start fucking arresting and prosecuting people that were fundamental to these massive breaches of human rights. You need to research Nazism more. You need to listen to more Holocaust survivors talking about the modern state of America more. That's what I think. I think you need to listen to more Holocaust survivors telling you, hey, this is what the rise of fascism looks like. I think you need to listen to Ben Ferencz, the last living Nuremberg prosecutor, who to this day recognizes the distinct deadly danger that the entire Trump administration, not just Trump as a politician, represents. American individualism will be the death of this country. Yeah, I mean, it's already helping to kill the country. It's already helping to make America a horrible place to live for the vast majority of people that live here. Even if they don't want to see it, so many of us are miserable. I don't feel like I'm miserable, but I feel like such an oddity for that most of the time. It seems like we have become so atomized at this point that we are completely unable to operate as a collective towards the betterment of us all. Thank you for the $5, by the way. If you go take your ass for a run, you wouldn't be fucking depressed. Says a motherfucker that's too much of a pussy to put their face up as their profile picture. For all I know, you're fatter than I am. Probably aren't even outside. Probably sitting around in your lazy boy, texting from the comfort of a recliner. Too fat to lift your fucking ass off the fucking lazy boy and take the trash out when your wife asks you to, but you ain't too fat to be texting me with your little sausage fingers. You live in a magical forest? Yes. Clearly. Clearly I live in a magical forest. What else could produce such a gem? Why on earth was I recommended this? I don't know. Why indeed? Why indeed? Bro, you're hitting a lot tonight. Well, what do you mean? Love this. Thank you for making me night or my night. You're funny. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Did you support Charlie Kirk getting killed? No. I also, not crying any salty tears about it. I think that it was, a regrettable thing. But it's also worth noting that it's part of a massive rise in political violence that the right wing has absolutely no problem with when it's being targeted towards people that they perceive to be on the left. Like, nobody on the right cared when it was two Democratic politicians getting wiped off the face of the earth. Nobody cared when it was people attempting to assassinate Democratic politicians and talking heads. But now that Charlie Kirk got shot, now we all have to care quite a bit about that. I think that that is pretty rich. I think that the right wing is abusing Charlie Kirk's corpse and abusing his memory more than any leftist who ever made a shitty joke about him possibly could have. Because I don't think there's a single one of the demagogues talking about him right now that actually give a fuck. You're generalizing a political identity of people similar to your enemies? Maybe they shouldn't generalize so much, you know? Oh. And I would argue that if you actually sit around and listen for a few minutes, you would find that I'm not nearly so broad as you're making me out to be. Man, it is downright creepy how quiet it is tonight. I hate nights like this. It's one cool thing about living in a town is that there's really no such thing as a quiet night. When you do have one, it's extra interesting. Anyway, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Okay. Damn it. What are your political beliefs? I recently joined and can't tell. I am a leftist. Specifically, I would consider myself like a labor leftist. I'm not much of a believer in the Dems, but I do think that there are occasions where them winning makes things better. The closer you are to town, the more likely that becomes. You know, like the closer you are to the local level, I think the more true that is. This live stream finna turn fully into a political stream. It can be whatever you guys want it to be. It's ultimately driven by chat participation, so... We're trying to help Iran get freedom? No, we are not. You don't bring freedom with bombs. I don't know what you think comes out of a bomb, but it's not freedom that they explode with. It's actually high explosives. So, like, I know you get, like, a hard-on and a big jingoistic, like, buzz in your heart whenever you see bombers flying over Iran and dropping bombs and missiles over them. But that's not freedom that they're exploding with. It's not freedom that's making the rubble collapse onto the heads of children. It's explosives. Bro, we saved Venezuela by putting Maduro's vice president in power? How is that a change of anything? We left all of the generals in power. We left all of the fucking presidential framework in power. The only thing different about Venezuela now is that we kind of have them cucked because we have their leader kidnapped in one of our prisons. All of your moralistic arguments about the crimes of the Ayatollah mean nothing to me, because I do not agree with the fundamental premise that you can change any of this with bombs. Argue against that. I have never once made the claim that Iran is a perfectly just government that does everything right. What I have said is that you don't bring freedom with bombs, and that there are ways to solve this conflict that don't involve violence. Argue against that. Or shut up. Trump bragged we have plenty of our own oil, we don't need Middle East oil, but dang, gas is expensive. Well, that's because Trump is a fucking moron. Trump is literally one of the dumbest people that's ever served in the Oval Office. You understand? Like, he doesn't know. He fundamentally does not grasp. Because he's not an oil guy, he's a real estate dude. Maybe he knows some shit about real estate. I guarantee you he doesn't know fuck or all about the oil market. And neither do I, for that matter. But I can fucking tell you this much, it's a globalized marketplace. It is not like it was in the early 1900s when, like, countries more or less had to produce their own oil, and it was like a really big deal if you had to import it from somewhere. It is not like that anymore. Oil is produced in all kinds of places and traded on a global marketplace. Everything is that way pretty much nowadays. Pretty much like everything. Like local produce, maybe, I guess. Like there are some things like local production, I guess. But when it comes to any kind of commodity, it's a globalized marketplace. It's not like American companies are being restricted in some way. Like, oh, you can't sell your oil on the global marketplace for the market rate. You have to sell it here for whatever it can fetch here. It's not like that. Like, no. American oil companies are making out like fucking bandits right now because they're able to sell barrels of oil for way more expensive than they normally are, which is why the gas prices are higher, because it's a global marketplace wherein fluctuations in one place lead to fluctuations everywhere. Kamala wouldn't be starting a war, y'all? Yeah, she might be starting this one. I'm sorry, but yeah, Kamala might be. Like, sorry, but on this, she and Trump are indistinguishable. Kamala Harris was asked on 60 Minutes in 2024 who our greatest international enemy was, and she answered unequivocally, Iran. She didn't even have to think about it. It was instant. Iran. And then, when asked if she would commit to military action in the region, she basically gave a variation of, I can neither confirm nor deny. So, yeah, Kamala Harris would have done this too. Would she have done it on the same time scale? No. Kamala Harris probably would have done the Iraq thing and started the drums up for the next Republican administration, got the war going in her last year when it didn't matter about her electoral chances or anything, because fuck it, the Republicans can take over now. I'm sorry, I just don't see the Democrats as they exist right now or as they existed in 2024 as being so fundamentally opposed to the interests that the Republicans are beholden to. I think that they're beholden to the same interests, largely. By the way, please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Also, we are only 82 members away from our 12-hour show, so consider signing up for the membership or donating some memberships. Some of the benefits include getting your chat seen more often, getting access to the backlog of more chill streams where we talk about more esoteric topics, the sub 5,000 view streams, as I call them, and eventually some emojis once I figure out how to make emojis. Just subscribed. Well, good. Well, you haven't been here for a couple of days. I'm starting to recognize your name, so it'd be a shame if you weren't subscribed. There's someone behind you? No, there's not. Mr. Gnome's War Chest is the name of my new anarchist queer punk band. Mr. Gnome's War Chest, dude. That is the best thing ever. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for the dude. I'm not even gonna lie. Because I kind of looked into him, and it doesn't seem like he really takes much of a public... Like, he's not one of these dudes that's trying to be an influencer with every little thing. Seems like he was kind of trying to have, like, a private life. And, it sucks to have that kind of thing exposed to the whole world. But, on the other hand, he could have probably avoided all that by simply not being married to Christy Noem. Like, if he's got this... Which he was, like, basically cheating on his wife with these girls. Like, that... Just break up, man. Just divorce. Come on now. He's a rich guy. He owns, like, an insurance company and shit. Like, he can afford it. He could do it. He'd be fine. Divorce is bad for reputation, though, in the spotlight. It used to be, but it's not anymore. There is no... I keep saying this, and no one believes me. I don't know why I don't know why people don't believe me on this, but I'm starting to get pissed off about it. Not at you. It just... Thank you for giving me the opportunity to go on this rant. There is no scandal that can touch the Trump people or anyone in that circle. There is no scandal that can touch them. What I mean by that is that there is no scandal big enough that will cause the base to actually turn on them. It simply cannot happen. It's non-existent. I don't know if there's a big enough scandal to make the base actually split any more than it already has. I think whatever fundamental splits exist in MAGA are pretty much there, and those fractures kind of stick around for, I don't know, solidarity's sake, I guess, for now. But, like, you're not going to do any more fracturing to it than that. I feel like the core base of people are completely unconvincible when it comes to, like, oh, your politician is shitty for this reason or that reason. They simply will not register that fact. It's not going to be made to make a difference. It's like people constantly talking about like Israel having compromise over over Trump. It's like, what could they possibly have on Trump that's worse than a years long correspondence with a victim, led by the FBI, that basically confirms Trump probably molested a 13-year-old girl? Like, what could possibly be more damning than that? Like, honestly, if that had come out about Clinton, he would have been impeached fully. He would have been removed from office. If that had come out about Obama, the impeachment fucking proceedings would have began the next day, and they would have been over and done with in 2 months. It doesn't even touch Trump. Doesn't even make a fucking difference. Why? Because they don't want to establish the precedent of prosecuting anyone involved with that shit at a high enough power level. They want to avoid that here in America. But there are other reasons why this kind of behavior is allowed to persist. And I think that when it comes to the political machinations of the Trump crew, I think it's all enabled by a cult-like group of followers who simply will not be dissuaded no matter what happens. They are ride or dies. Unlike me, who voted for Biden and was pretty much immediately dissatisfied with him like a month into his fucking presidency, they will hold on to the bitter end. I almost admire their tenacity. It's foolish tenacity, but it is tenacity. Yeah, Shelby, stick around. You'll learn all kinds of things. I don't think it's right, by the way, to make fun of people on the basis of their ethnicity. I don't think it's right to make fun of people on the basis of their race, but I do think that it's useful for us to be able to laugh at each other sometimes. I think it's a delicate line to walk. Why not? Well, because you can't help it. It's not like you can pick and choose what ethnicity you are, because you can't pick and choose where you're born, you know? Or to what parents, really, is the more important thing. I believe it is wrong to make fun of someone, unless they're British. Well, the British earned it in a unique way that a lot of other nationalities really haven't. So I think we've got to forgive you for that one. What are your pronouns? She, her, hers. Damn it. Gotta lean up. Gotta scoot up. What's the matter? You got a problem with the yellow teeth and the cigarettes from the British? No, not really. I feel like it's more like payback for them being imperialist pieces of shit. It's like, well, you guys are imperialists, so now we get to make fun of you. Sorry. Maybe you shouldn't have been imperialists. In hindsight. Hey, listen, it's a small price to pay. You got to rule the last major empire in the modern world. Literally. The last major empire that followed the traditions and like growth patterns of a old school empire. You guys got the last one. You guys got the last one. So now you have to deal with 100 years of being made fun of. It's fine. Look at what you have, look at what you've lost, and look at what you paid for it, and realize you still came out on top. Okay, Brits? Imperialism is worse than communism to me, but honestly, I think we need to reform an old-fashioned republic. Big government has proven it isn't working well. I don't think the problem is big government. I think that the problem is shitty government. Shitty government that's been allowed to be captured by the corporates because it was pretty much designed from the ground up to be captured by the corporates. Like, no wonder Europe was able to implement a whole lot of socialist changes that made their countries a lot more sustainable and made their countries work a lot better for the people that lived there, because corporatism had to find ways to evolve within those already well-established communities and places and cities that had lived under a different economic model for 2,000 years before that. Small government has less checks and balances and is more like a monarchy. Small government people might as well advocate for kings. Yeah. I mean, people think of monarchies and they think of tyrants, but that's because of rhetoric that evolved during the American Revolution. In truth, a king was in a lot of ways like less tyrannical than a lot of like modern governments, in the sense that like the main element of coercion in your life was not active or enforced really by a regular reminder of a threat of violence. I mean, in a sense it was, but like for the most part, you did what you had to do because you were raised into a system that made you expect that, and like you kind of implicitly knew you didn't want to go anywhere else, but you also didn't know where else you would even want to go. Like, the way people lived was so radically different. I'm not saying it was better, by the way. It was obviously a lot worse in a lot of different ways. But, like, when the only real tyranny that the king ever wants to enact upon you is, like, you know, making sure that his lords gather the requisite amount of grain from your lands every year, it's honestly pretty easy to forget you even have a king. And that's a demonstration, a perfect demonstration of how small government does not automatically equal better. Small government can still be authoritarian as fuck. Your opinion truly doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck what you think about my opinion. I could care less. Tell it to somebody who gives a shit. They are listening to your opinion. That's the irony, right? They're like talking about how nobody cares about my opinion while being part of the 100 people sitting around listening to my opinion. The irony is present in the comment itself. I don't even really have to illustrate it. Now that I have, of course, you'll all see it as clearly as I did as soon as I said it. I like your glasses, thanks. I need new ones. Oh, yeah. By the way, we are 82 members away from the 12-hour show, so if you guys are interested in contributing towards that goal, consider signing up for the membership. I read members' chats more often than I read regular folks' chats, and soon you guys will get access to a whole host of other features as well. There's also some backlog content you can do, but you can also gift memberships as well. That helps too. We are, like I said, 82 members away from that 12-hour show. The monetary half of the goal has already been funded. You guys have 9 days to get to that membership goal, so I think we'll get there. Exactly, you'd be fun to smoke and chat with. I am fun to smoke and chat with, at least if my friends are to be believed. Taylor, am I fun to smoke and chat with? They're just saying that because they never met you. Oh, well, shit. I was trying to front you guys, but I'm called out. Yeah, she's right. I'm a piece of shit. I'm inconsiderate as fuck. I'll vomit all over your house. Don't invite me over. I'm going to bed, too. It's almost 3 a.m., Phoebe. Good luck, Chuds. Yeah, they need it. Certainly I don't. I appreciate it, though. Good night. Let's see here. Why are you outside in the middle of the night? Because I want to be. Is this really that rare? I get it, okay? It's like, what time is it? 1:45 in the morning? Okay. All right. You don't even know. You wouldn't understand if I told you. You'd think I was bullshitting if I told you. I could live outside. I have lived outside. I love it. It's great. I prefer to be outside. I prefer being outside to being indoors. It's just not always feasible. But now that I know I look semi-okay with this light, I think I'm going to start doing it more often. I cannot go outside at night. The bugs are already so bad. Ran outside for 30 minutes yesterday and they were swarming me. That's one thing about us having chickens and stuff that we thankfully don't have to worry much about, especially now that we've got the ducks moved down to where there's a pond at, which was really the only main source of like mosquitoes and a lot of the bugs and stuff. Now the ducks take care of all that, and I'm fucking on the ball about standing water and places where bugs can be. Because I get sick of it too. Listen, I like bugs. I do. I think that they're great. I think that they should be in the garden where they belong. But there are things that you can do without damaging your environment that will decrease the amount of annoying ass bugs that are around you. There's just probably not a lot that you can do. I don't know if you live in that same house, but I don't know, man. I remember the bugs being a problem up there too. And I don't really know if there's much you can do because, like, honestly, that area of the Midwest, I don't think has experienced as much, like, ecological collapse in the insect world as a lot of other places in the US have. And so you're kind of just dealing with like a buggy kind of zone. You know how mosquitoes flock me? Yes. Yes, I do. Yeah. I don't know why I'm not like that anymore. It really did change the longer I lived on the road. It's weird. I don't know if it's like me getting in the sun more or what, but these days I am rarely bothered by mosquitoes. What about big ass chickens? How do you deal with them? What do you mean, how do you deal with them? What was the Border Patrol murder? Okay, so the U.S. Border Patrol had arrested this person, I think it was like a migrant, but they were like documented and shit, and they surreptitiously and unceremoniously dumped this guy in front of a Buffalo hospital, and the coroner's report came out after he died in intensive care, and ruled the death a homicide. That came out earlier today. We haven't talked about it much, but my big takeaway was that it's another one of those things that we need to remember when the time comes around to start prosecuting people. When the time comes, like, I hope someone is trying to seek a paper trail on this. I hope someone is trying to make sure that there's like a pathway to accountability later on in the future. Because we know for a fact that the current administration is not going to seek any of that. Damn, my mom's hitting the bong. I ain't hitting a bong and I ain't your mama. Sorry, y'all. I will be, it'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming in just a moment. Alrighty. Do you think the Vegas incident is everything they say it is, or is there more to it? Are you talking about the mass shooting that happened in Vegas a few years back? I think there's definitely more to it. I don't have any real hard evidence for that, I guess. But it seems impossible to me that there's not more to it than we've been told. The train is saying hi, indeed. The train loves us. Is that a bottle of bleach? It started out its life as a bottle of vegetable oil, and then somebody washed it out and used it to sell Dawn, and then we bought that bottle of Dawn. Ah, that was an awful sound. Man. Didn't like that. Anyway. I wonder if I'm one of those people that would hear a dog whistle. I know I detect them well enough online, but would I hear one in real life? Bro, there's a trans shooter popping up every couple months. Mass shootings have been a major problem for like 25 years now, and in that time there have been a grand total of like 3. There have been a total of like 3 trans people that were responsible. Yeah, there's been a cisgender shooter every couple months since 99. What's your point? Yeah. Like, this has been a problem for 25 years, and your ass didn't give a fuck about it until it was trans people. Suddenly, now that it's trans people shooting people up, now that there's a couple of trans people responsible for some mass shootings, now you want to pretend to care about mass shootings. Now you want to pretend to care about gun violence. You have to understand when you hear someone making an argument like this is not an intelligent, rational argument that comes from a place of misunderstanding. This is a purposeful wedge. This is a cudgel. It is a rhetorical buttersock, basically. Not meant to convince, but rather to shame, to embitter, to anger. Much love, fam. You're 1 point, I'm subbing. Aw, thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, it was the butler. More people die by cars and ladders than guns. I'm not the one who brought up mass shootings. Columbine shooters used the gun show loophole. My country music festival bought everything legally. Do you care about that? Or Mr. Country Music Festival? I don't know if you're asking me or if someone in chat, but I'm trying to think how I feel about that now. How do I feel about that? It makes me wonder if there were holes in the system, or if it's just an example of the system genuinely not catching somebody that shouldn't have had guns. Because I would think, even in Britain, where the vast majority of mass violence that is committed happens with, knives, every once in a great while they'll have some violence done by guns. Every once in a while somebody gets shot over there. So that tells me even a pretty good system is going to fuck up sometimes. But I wonder if there were tells. One of the weird things about that case is that for almost every other big mass shooting, there has been a tremendous amount of like true crime adjacent type of coverage about it, and there have been so many people that have talked about it in the aftermath, referenced it, etc. I really don't hear that many people talking about the Vegas shooting, and as a result, I can't remember the last time it was that I actually dug into it. I'd be willing to bet there probably were things that if we considered them in background checks and considered them disqualifying would have stopped him from getting a gun, because that kind of thing happens way more often than it should. It's fucked because there are genuine problems in the way we already do the gun laws we already have. Even if we didn't add any more, there are already problems with the enforcement that we already do have. And there's just no political will to fix that, much less, redraw the laws to make a little more sense and make sure that crazy or abusive people can't get guns, or at least that it's very, very difficult for them to. And the other thing I think really needs to be pushed hard is the idea that people are responsible for keeping their guns. Because there's so many guns that end up on the street because somebody goes on vacation, they don't leave their guns locked up, or at least they don't leave them all locked up. Some thief breaks into their house, steals all the guns out of their house along with their TV and their stereo set, and gets away with it. And now you've got a dozen rifles just floating around. Sure, a long rifle is not exactly every criminal in Chicago's ideal weapon, but they're just gonna fucking sell it. They're just gonna sell it to somebody who doesn't fucking care, who might actually be able to get it to somebody who will use it as a hunting rifle or whatever, and they're gonna fucking use it in furtherance of getting a handgun. So there has to be a standard. You have to be expected to maintain you have to be expected to maintain your weapon in a state of safekeeping. The types of guns he was buying at the volume he was buying them from different places didn't meet guidelines for flagging his purchases, as I remember it. Yeah, see, and that should probably be another thing, right? That should probably be one of those things that raises flags in people's heads and in the system where it's hey, maybe we should look into this a little bit. It seems like there's an awful lot of purchases being made here. Almost like something's being prepared for. I mean, that's literally how they... Which one of the compounds was it? I can't remember which one of the compounds it was that the Feds stormed in the 90s. But there was one of them that they'd been watching for a while. That they knew they were, gathering up guns and stuff. And they were just waiting for an opportunity to finally pounce on them. But that's how they, got put onto them in the first place. Waco? Yeah, I believe it was Waco. Columbine shooters couldn't legally own guns, so they went the gun show route. Yeah. And I don't think that that's been fixed to this day, unless I'm mistaken. In Oregon, we have to lock the chamber and keep ammo separate. In my county, you can't buy guns back to back. There's a waiting period of 30 to 90 days and then a pause to the next purchase of 120 days. Yeah, that's... okay, that sounds reasonable to me. I don't know, man. It seems to me you probably don't need to... listen, even if you want to have an arsenal, why can't... what's wrong with adding 3 a year? Are you really gonna die because you can only add 3 guns to your collection a year? I don't think so. I don't think anyone's going to pass away off of this planet because they only got to buy fucking 3 guns this year instead of 47 or something. I think they have an importance, don't get me wrong. America's got like a cultural attachment to guns, and they do have a utility. I'm not discounting the usefulness or anything like that. All I'm saying is that some people are super obsessive with them to a degree that it makes them completely irrational when it comes to the matter of like gun policy. Read aloud the Second Amendment. You wouldn't like it if I did. The Second Amendment mentions a well-regulated militia. Well-regulated. And I'm not even calling for that many regulations. I'm looking for pretty basic shit. If Trump isn't a tyrant, no one is. Ain't that the truth? Now, unfortunately, I think he's just one of a cadre of tyrants. But yes, he is among their number. I think I need more tobacco. I do believe your girl needs some more tobacco. I do. I do need some more backy. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be right back. I thought I was gonna bring you with you. Or bring you with me. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it's starting to get a little chilly now. I wanna be in the cavalry if they send me off to war. I want a good steed under me, like my forefathers before. And I beg of you, sides, let me lead the charge on the bottom lines are done. Do 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 do. Welcome back, Curly. We missed you. I missed you guys too. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm not a pompous person. I have practical skills and a bright mind. I don't need any more education, yet I actively seek it. You should try it. Damn. Cold as ice. Damn, Taylor, you still got it. You still got it. You'll always have it. Who am I kidding? Any Confederates in here? I hope not. I deal with enough Confederates and every day. What the fuck? You know what? I ain't even gonna try and read all that. On us and uplift your people. Jesus Christ, they want to cast on us. Are you praying in my chat, user? Number. Are you like praying to the gods of the internet in my chat or something? He's schizo chatting, don't mind him. Yeah, that's the impression I'm getting. I read that 2 or 3 times before I finally decided to read it out loud. And then I was like, huh? He believes in lizard people? Oh, okay. Well, cool. Right on. Reckon we ought to offer him a beer? You know, my post-adulthood autism filter just alerted me to the fact that that might have been insensitive. Fuck. My favorite used to be a Spinosaur, but a Christian ruined them for me. Yeah, I wonder who that was. Did you hear the have you heard the rumor, Daniel, that Spino, like, I don't know, like, I can't remember exactly how he was involved. I remember there was some story about, like, that Corey Weidman fellow that used to comment all the time and super chats sometimes in DFF's chats, and there was something between him and Spino, but I can't remember who was the bastard and who was the saint. My favorite dinosaur is Sprenolactone. Ah, funny. You need to wake up is what escaped inpatient facility patients say before they say the most smooth-brained thing you've ever heard. Literally. Motherfuckers will say the most incomprehensible, insane gibberish you've ever had the displeasure of listening to in your life. And they will preface it with, you guys need to wake up! Or, like, I finally see through it! I finally see it all! I get it! You know? Somebody ever comes to you with the premise that they've got the fucking exclusive route to truth, they figured it on out, disbelieve that fuck. Disbelieve that lying piece of shit. I remember when dealing with crazies was homeless people asking for change while telling me Swiss cheese has too many holes in it to be real cheese. How's it? And now it's people in this chat trying to save me. Honestly, the homeless people might have been playing it up a little bit. I've definitely played up the crazy a little bit to be a more entertaining homeless person to give to. In fact, I bet it would shock a lot of people who, have given to me when I was on the road to see me doing this well now. Because I did have some times of just genuine separation from reality while I was living that way. So I wasn't always playing it up. I definitely had my times. Swiss cheese has holes because it was taxed on its way from Switzerland by American tariffs. Good theory, but it had the holes before the tariffs. My aunt and uncle are like that. It's painful. They like martial law is coming to Canada any day now. Jesus. What makes them think that? Like, what possibly makes them think that? I don't even get it. My favorite dinosaur is Sharptooth. Sharptooth was always a classic. American Swiss style cheese. Oops, only holes. It's just an empty bag. Yeah, Taylor's not kidding about her dad. He was an interesting fellow to listen to. How much is a 12-pack of soda in your area? I saw a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper for $10.82 today. Everything for $4 is bad under Biden. I have no idea, to be honest with you. Whenever my family does buy soda, we always buy it in the 2-liter bottles, because it seems like that's like the most low waste way to buy soda. I mean, I guess you can also, honestly, probably the best way to do it is buy it in the cans and recycle every single can and recycle the cardboard. Because at that point, in theory, it's a closed loop. But speaking practically, most people don't have access to all those recycling resources, so short of that, 2 liters are probably a pretty good option. At least you're saving a bunch of cans from what would otherwise be a landfill. Anyway, I also don't I don't drink soda at this point usually. I'll finish somebody's if they don't want it, but I don't buy soda for myself at this point in my life, so I've got very little reason to look at the price unless I'm, being sent on a grocery run for the family in general. 12 packs for 15 to 20 on sale in Missouri. Yeah, that's not bad. Does recycling really do anything, or is it just a way to make companies put the blame on you for ruining the environment? Both can be true. Both can be true. Recycling is not nearly as effective, quote unquote, because there are not nearly enough recycling facilities for, nor enough recycling pickup services and sorting services and everything for all of the different products that can be recycled. But also, there's a problem of having the right reprocessing facilities. America just does not have a lot of manufacturing, and in a lot of cases, when you recycle a bottle here in the United States, we've got the recycling facilities and everything, right, to recycle a plastic bottle, but that gets turned into this pelletized plastic that's then shipped over to China. And some of that plastic might return in the form of products that we use or whatever, but a lot of it just gets turned back into bottles, which China then doesn't recycle. Maybe they'll improve on that at some point in the future, but right now it's kind of bullshit because we don't put nearly enough accountability into the system. I think it should be all we should have enough manufacturers in this country to make stuff out of the influx of recycled material that we have. And we don't have that, and as a result, it's kind of difficult to make recycling effective. The exception to that is cardboard recycling and metal recycling. If you can find somewhere that accepts cardboard recycling, cardboard is actually pretty easily recyclable, and metal is also very easily recyclable, and there's always a demand for it. It's one of the few things you can get paid to recycle pretty much everywhere. Thank you, King Bugs, for the $10. I appreciate that a ton. Recycling works here. There are things made out of 100% recycled plastic, like shirts and stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, it works to a limited degree. It's something we should definitely be doing more of, but that's the thing. We need to be doing more of it, not just personally, but as a country. We need to get better at processing recycled materials into finished end products. And we also need to get more responsible about what countries we trade in recycled plastic feedstock. If China's just going to be dumping it in the fucking ocean, sorry, China. You can either change that policy or we're not going to sell our fucking plastic to you anymore. If that requires putting some restrictions on the marketplace, sorry, plastic manufacturers. But to counteract that, we're going to start building a bunch of factories over here to start processing that shit into plastic products that can be either exported or, sold here domestically, and they stay in that recycling loop. Have you read about cans and why they're the only place that cans are ribbed for your pleasure since 917? They only have one can factory there, and they didn't want to upgrade the machines. Cans and why? The only place that cans are ribbed. I've never heard of that before in my life, no. What the fuck? When you go out of your way to sort the garbage that companies send you home with, you are performing labor for them. I mean, yeah, but like, what's the alternative? What's the actual alternative for someone just living in the here and now right this second, you know? At least if you recycle, there's a chance that that shit doesn't end up in a landfill. There's a chance, you know? You throw it in the garbage, there's no way it don't end up in a landfill. Now, I do think it should be advocated for that, like, I would be willing to bet that we already have systems that can pretty effectively separate garbage into organic matter, styrofoam, plastics, stuff like that. And maybe it should be something that, like, is done. Maybe it's something that should be done on a governmental level. Like, you know, now the trash company, like, there's an extra step, you know, instead of everything just being dumped in a landfill, now there's like a processing step that it has to go through. And then they have to do the recycling. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know what the best way to organize this shit is. I just know it seems like there are less and less ways that people can intercede in the way that we're all being ordained to live. I just feel like there are less and less opportunities for people to, you know, make any difference or feel like they're being helpful. Thank you, by the way, for the $10, King Bugs. I don't know if I said that. No alternative, but acknowledging the inherent labor of social participation. Yeah, no, for sure. I sort my garbage so dipshits can manufacture their cheap packaging. It is absurd. Yeah, now I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, it is absurd. It is definitely like retarded. Like, the solution should not be, oh, we just need to recycle better. We don't need to change anything about our lives. We just need to recycle better. No, recycling should be seen as like a temporary solution that eventually turns into like a permanent trend, but not like because we continue making everything out of plastic, but merely because we are continuing whatever plastic supply we do have and using it responsibly. But ultimately, like, the idea of disposable plastic bottles, stupid, should be done away with. Like, and I'm not kidding. Whenever you go to get soda, like, it should be a big decanter. Like, yeah, it's going to be hard to get in and out of your car. Maybe there should be smaller decanters for old people, but it's going to be like a decanter that is sealed with some kind of lid on top. And whenever you're out of soda, you bring it back to the store and they clean it out for you and they refill it. Instead of eggs being sold in individual cartons that are just given out forever, you buy an egg carton that is built to be reused, cleaned and reused. And you bring that in, and the workers sanitize it, put your eggs in there, and give them to you. There are fundamental aspects about our consumerist life that need to change if we are to build an actually sustainable society. The cartons are biodegradable and they make good seed starters. What now? Oh, for eggs? Well, sure, yeah, but that packaging, only that packaging is like that. The packaging you're talking about is a very specific kind of easily composted at home, extra biodegradable egg packaging. That should be required. Just like, if you're going to sell eggs by the package, you should have to sell them in those containers, period, full stop. No more styrofoam egg containers, period, full stop, none. It should flatly be illegal to sell a styrofoam egg container. Like, there's no reason why they can't just be made out of the biodegradable stuff. And when it starts to break down and wear down and it's not really good for eggs anymore, okay, now you use it for a seed starter. Or you rip it up and you burn it the next time you're having a bonfire. Or you tear it up and you put it in your compost pile. There's a million things you can do with them. And none of them add carcinogens to the environment or destroy people's health or add microplastics. No more disposal is something I've thought about. We throw away stuff that some countries need badly. Literally, we throw away daily all kinds of stuff that other countries would die for. We need to fundamentally change the way we look at consumer goods. I don't know. Even know America did that still. The entirety of Canada uses cardboard egg cartons. Oh, dude. Here in America, it is super common to get your eggs in a styrofoam egg carton. And a lot of places, that's the only way they sell them. Now, in the big box stores, there's usually eggs that are available in both styles of packaging. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. Like, I will say, it's more common to get the biodegradable packaging if you're getting the big flats of eggs. Those don't usually come in styrofoam, but if you're getting like little small ones, they usually come in. Oh my god, here's the worst one. Plastic. Plastic fucking egg cartons. Plastic. Yeah, you heard me right. Smooth ass plastic. So it can slip out of your hand while you're looking at them at the grocery store. Splatter all over your shoes. I refuse to buy milk in a plastic bag. All milk should be sold in a glass bottle that is returned when you're done using it. Not valuing resources is inherently capitalist with abundance we don't appreciate. That's true. Yeah, no, 100%. Taylor, I think you would really love the book Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. It kind of talks about this very thing. And there's also a lecture by Derek Jensen called Endgame that talks about it. If you look at a tree and you see a tree, then you're going to treat it one way. And if you look at a tree and you see a chair, then you're going to treat it another way. And if you look at a tree and you see dollar bills, then you're going to treat it another way still. Capitalism looks at a tree and has to see dollar bills every time. I only read fiction books. That's the thing. Ishmael is a fiction book, but it's got philosophical weight, if that makes sense. I don't know. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. I'm just saying, you might enjoy it. It's a very compelling read. Phoebe, do use the plastic bags for produce at the store. I didn't see the point when it grew in the ground and a bunch of people picked it with bare hands. I get weird looks at the store. No, I usually don't. No. I see absolutely no point in putting the produce in a little plastic sack. Like, literally, what is the fucking point of it? What is the fucking point? And more, I'm not using grocery bags either. Like, if I can haul my shit in and out of the car without a bag, I do. And if I can't, I've been trying to remember to bring my own bags in. Excuse me. People are screaming in this parking lot I'm in. Oh, I'm sorry, Margot. That fucking is so shitty. God, I hate that shit. I have lived through the exact moment you're living through right now, and it sucks. And I'm sorry to hear that, Margot. Hey, but you know what? You might be able to catch some juicy gossip or a funny fight or something. You're being kept up all night, but see if you can get a show. I already have. Well, has it already gotten boring? What are they yelling about? Can you tell us, like, can you got to give us, like, play by play. Has violence happened yet? Have blows been exchanged? This girl got cheated on by her boyfriend. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. This just in from a parking lot somewhere in the remote reaches of Mississippi. Margot is witnessing an epic fight going down between someone. Somebody cheated on their boyfriend. No, somebody got cheated on by their boyfriend. Sorry, I'm getting an update from the field. Cheated on by their boyfriend. We don't have any more information at this time. Hold on, we're getting an update from the field. Her friends are loudly hyping her up. It seems like the fight might be going the way of the femme fatale in this operation. We can only hope that she will come out on top. But it is a difficult thing to know. It is a difficult thing to tell. We'll just have to try. She still keeps calling the guy her boyfriend. Her friends are very upset by it. Okay, so we're seeing the picture now, everybody. Her boyfriend is clearly someone she is unwilling to separate from. She is being encouraged by all of her friends surrounding her to break up with him, but she is unwilling to do so, as evidenced by her unwillingness to stop calling him her boyfriend. We don't know how this story is going to evolve, folks, but we do know that this is the most interesting thing happening right now in Mississippi at 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, at least she has decent friends. That's always good to see in a fight like that, where you've got somebody that's clearly just, like, they just don't know what's good for themselves. You know? What is with that? What is with that? Because there's all kinds of people that get caught up in like, is it just like that fear of being lonely thing? I guess I get that. They're just people helping each other to figure themselves out. Yeah. Nothing to see here. What are you worried about? No, they're like 2 feet away from you? Dude. I hate that shit. I have been in this situation like only one time in my life. And I waited up until they were finally asleep and then I moved. But I don't know if you were able to get your car back up and running, so you might not be able to move. I waited till they fucking went to bed though and then moved because I didn't trust it. I was like, man, these crazy motherfuckers, I don't know what they're hyped up on. I don't know if they're tweaking. I don't know if they're just fucking douchebags that don't care and never go to fucking sleep. You know what though? In my first year of traveling, I bet there's some people that said that about my van too. Not because of me, but because of my road dogs. They were like obsessed with each other, but also like they were each other's worst enemy. I don't know how to put it. My word, must be a good stream. Long time out. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, it has been a good stream. I've been able to enjoy sitting outside at night. I mean, there's a burn ban on, so I can't have a fire. It's a bit windy, too, to be having a fire anyway. So, it's not perfect, but it's nice, honestly. There's things that could make it better, but whatever. I'm not bitching too much. I tell you what, I am overall pretty happy that I'm happy I have this when there's a lot of people that have, you know, a lot less, or that are living in really shitty situations where they can't just sit out in their yard at 4:30 in the morning or 3:30 or however late it is talking shit. I can do that all night long if I want to. My closest neighbor is probably a quarter mile away. Maybe a little farther, but still. I know nothing I say or sing at my volume is going to be able to transmit into, through their walls or through their windows or anything like that. You'd have to really be paying attention to even be able to hear me talking from a distance. And I like that, I dig that. I do. But I tell you what, sometimes I miss living in an apartment too. It's weird. It's one of the reasons why that digital nomad shit just keeps playing in back in my head. I just keep thinking maybe that's an option. Because, like, I think in an ideal world, I would spend like half of my time out in the country away from people and half of my time up in the city all around people. I'm locked in by people. I have like 4 groups of conversations at various points around my car. Margot, how the fuck did you end up in like the parking lot of Crackheads Incorporated? Where are you? I know I can't ask you to tell me that, but man, I'm just wondering, dog. I'm just genuinely curious because I have parked in all kinds of places, and the only time I've been surrounded by that many motherfuckers is when I knew them. Now they're yelling at a guy in a cowboy hat that they can't use the word twink because it's homophobic. What the fuck? Wait, they're telling the guy he can't use the word twink because it's homophobic, or the guy is telling them that they can't use the word twink who, twink where, twink why, twink how. So they're telling him that he can't use it because it's homophobic. Well, what if he's gay? What if he's bi? Man, these motherfuckers don't make a lick of goddamn sense. Thank you, King Bugs, for the additional $10. I appreciate it a ton. You know I do. You knows as I does. I thought about restarting the stream like 45 minutes ago, but 10 more people just walked up. Man, I'd be genuinely scared if I were in your position, Margot. Yeah, you guys in chat, stop telling Margot to interfere in this shit. The last thing they should do is get involved. It's like the last thing you should do. My neighbors used to have super loud sex, but it didn't bother me. I liked it. Yeah, I've had that same problem, and I felt that same way. I want to see Snoop Dogg crip walk to Here Comes Santa Claus. I want to see Snoop Dogg crip walk to Here Comes Santa Claus. Is that so bad? That's really the main thing I want with all this fame and glory that I seek on the internet. I just want to see Snoop Dogg crip walk to Here Comes Santa Claus. Now they're talking about watching Brokeback Mountain. What the fuck? Well, it probably has something to do with the twink conversation, honestly. I sure do love living functionally right fucking next to a railroad. Isn't it a nice little bit of spice to the stream that I have to occasionally yell to be heard? Thank you for the $5, Margot. Did you know Afro Man is having a show in Mississippi? I did. Would you help me repair my gate? Would you help me repair my door? Did you find what you were looking for? Could you help me to find my gate and door? Would you like a slice of lemon pound cake? You can have as much as you'd like to take. Would you like a slice of my lemon pound cake? Yeah, it's just difficult when the ones who raise us don't accept who we are today. Yeah, 100%. It makes it really difficult for a lot of people to live lives that they can feel fully actualized in. That's why I like this movement of allies trying to reach out and help be parent figures for queer people without them. Extra condo is near an airport, and I thought that was loud. Oh, dude, I'd love a fucking condo near an airport. I like watching planes take off, but I bet you can't watch it from any of the windows, can you? I bet you can't get a good sight of the runways. It'd be funny if you could just set up a decent phone with a decent camera. Either mute the mic or source the mic to be an audio program that's specifically scanning the airport frequency. Have you thought about this, Joey? You might be missing out on passive income. I think everyone just needs to find their boobies. Me too. Finding your boobies means finding the confidence to not care if your nipples are showing through your shirt. True. Take off, no, but you see a lot of them. They rotate the paths, I believe, so it's not always bad. Aww. Lame. 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 If you're gonna build a high rise within 10 miles, not 10 miles. If you're gonna build a high rise within 2 miles of an airport, it should have to be They need to be flat. Sorry. New rule. I'm cribbing it from Bill Maher. New rule. The hallways are going to be on the side that doesn't face the airport. Okay, that's going to be the one. The airport. Elevator in the middle of it. Okay, hallways in the back of the spine, if you will. You can even make it look like a book or a bookshelf or whatever. Who cares? But every apartment has to have a window facing the airport. No, I'm kidding. If it's not obvious, I'm joking. The condo I rent out already, it's in rich part of Manchester. I got from my ex-fiance who's tried to shoot me. Ah, holy shit. That's crazy. Good win, I guess. See, Bill Maher is the perfect example of a person who has not found his boobies. Literally. Bill Maher would be so embarrassed if a picture was out of him with his nipples showing through his shirt. He would be so embarrassed. But why? Like, what's to be feared? Don't fear the titty. Don't fear the titty. Take my hand. Don't fear the titty. Oh, I don't know how much longer we'll stay out here. I want to stay out here all night and for the rest of my life, but can't. Oh. Am I always to be unsatisfied? Holy shit, King Bugs, 10 gift memberships. And I believe that is 15 total for today, which means we are down to 67. We're only 67 fucking members away from reaching the fucking 12-hour show goal. That is so fucking cool. Thank you so tremendously, King Bugs. Based Bugs. Let's green things up in here. Yes. Yes, dude, yes. Learn the hard part about that relationship. Poly relationships get complicated, especially if you drive us like a rabbit. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, trust me, I know. Believe me, I know. Yeah, poly relationships get complicated quick. I feel like sometimes they get complicated when they don't need to be, but, you know. Like, I've been in a situation where if there had just been one little thing that had worked out about that, maybe it would have worked out differently, but who cares? Who knows? There's no point in dwelling on it as if you can go back and change the past. Thank you so much, King Bugs. What a fucking tremendous fellow. Only 67 members away from the goal. That is so cool. Oh, yes. The girls on the come up. We're coming. We're doing it. Ooh. Ooh. Aww. Aww. I just got a Snapchat memory of a picture of my kid from a year ago. Ugh, time passes so fucking fast. I feel it now in a way I've never felt it before. The days creep on, the hours tick past, the moments are flying by at a rate that I fail to notice, frankly. You would think, as a person who lives my life by the news cycle, just as a function of what I do for a living, that I would have a better sense of the progression of time. But it just seems like it's going so quickly. TLDR, I had Mad Game, they didn't. That's kind of that's the impression I was getting. Yeah. I hope your kid is doing well. He is. He is doing so well. I obviously don't like to talk about super personal stuff on the stream too much, but suffice it to say, he is doing awesome. Not only is he meeting all his milestones, but he's actually ahead of schedule, so we must be doing something right. Kingbug says, I sometimes regret not having kids. I'm glad that I'm glad that it happened to me. I'm glad that it happened to me. Is such a weird way to say it, but you get what I'm trying to say. I'm glad that that's the way my life went, but there are things I wish that I think, change about the timeline, maybe. Things I wish I could have done differently in our relationship, I guess, but I wouldn't take any of it back for the world, It's so cheesy and cornball, but I look at him and I see the world, I look at him and I see so much potential, so much beauty, so much love and acceptance. He doesn't hate anybody. I don't even think he knows the emotion. I don't know, for a doomer like me, it's nice to have someone to help me keep that in perspective, I suppose. People are now sitting on the ground leaning on my car. Yeah, they definitely do not realize you're there. Is there any chance these folks are tweaking? Favorite kids show to watch with them? Almost seems like a creepy question, but honestly, this is gonna sound so cringe. But probably Miss Rachel or Bob Ross. Which Bob Ross isn't really a kids show, but when he was like a little itty bitty baby, me and his other mom would go to sleep, with him in our room, and we'd go to sleep watching Bob Ross. The TV, has its own timer, where if you haven't pressed anything on the remote after like 3 hours, I think, it turns itself off. Pretty cool feature. And, that's how we would go to sleep. And we stopped doing that, like, I don't know, 6 months ago. Switched over to other shows and shit before we ever broke up. But every so often we'll still watch Bob Ross. I'll pull it back up now, watch it while we're doing other things. But honestly, like, it's kind of cool. He likes to watch a little bit in the morning, but I guess we must be doing something right in terms of our like choice to implement screen time limits and stuff, because he'll watch with pretty rapt attention, like, while he has his morning bottle, and then for like 20 minutes afterwards, and then he's off to the races. He wants to explore, he wants to go outside, and if I'm doing stuff around the house, I might put something on the TV for us to watch while I'm folding laundry or washing dishes or whatever. But for the most part, he still just ends up helping me with the laundry or trying his best to help me with dishes. I just heard someone say we're dipping. Holy shit. Is Margot going to get some rest tonight? Place your wagers on Kalshi, everybody. People are leaving. Woo! Yay! Woo! one thing, just to get off the specifics of my parenting life and onto something more general. One thing about human beings that parenting has taught me is that it is just a miracle of evolution that human beings have survived to this day, because human beings start out as like when we think of things that are born, I can't think of the word, but basically in a state of like true infancy, we think of stuff like kangaroos or mice or puppies, stuff like that, right? Kittens, maybe. But humans are actually like, they might be the best example of it. Like, we might legit be the best example of an animal that is just completely helpless before a certain age. I mean, it takes babies a couple of months, 3 or 4 months sometimes, before they're even able to crawl. And it takes them a long time before they really get much of a danger reflex. It takes them like 8 months sometimes, 10 months sometimes, a year sometimes. Like, a deer or a horse comes out of the pussy basically ready to, kick ass and take names. Kittens come out blind, but they're able to crawl around at least. Even puppies can crawl around somewhat, kind of maneuver themselves and stuff like that. And all of our ape relatives also are way more mobile than us. They're born way more precocious than we are. human beings really are, like, I don't know, like, I think it's just crazy to think about, right? From an evolutionary standpoint. It goes to show you how many points our species stacked during the process of evolution into intelligence and tool building and stuff like that. But in order to stack all those points, we basically had to sacrifice, like, any kind of precociousness or whatever. Being born less developed is linked to higher intelligence in most animals. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that's the evolutionary trade-off, right? That's one of the reasons I like looking at evolution, kind of like, stats in a video game. I know it doesn't work like that, but it's like a good way to look at it, because it does seem like you have to trade certain things to get certain things for the most part. Like, human beings focused so heavily, like, we just it's not that we focused, it's that evolution took us down a path that focused us so heavily on, like, the brain and tool building, that we filled a niche that didn't exist before, which was the niche of this, like, nomadic hunting gathering ape that could prey on just about anything, but that moved around enough to not really be a consistent danger to anything either. And I don't know, man. I don't know that much about human evolution, to be fucking honest with you. I'm not a scholar on it. It's a fascinating topic to me. And especially because, like, looking at a baby, it's just, like, amazing to think about the fact that cave people were having babies that undeveloped, and they had to nurse them and bathe them and take care of them and get them to live for years before they were really in the clear, in terms of, like, they can kind of take a breath. We lost an important brain tumor suppression gene. That's what allowed our brains to get so big. That is fucking nuts. That is fucking crazy. So it's literally just an accident of evolution that human beings ended up being able to become so smart. Of course, I've also heard some people say that, like, cooking our food was the big thing, but maybe that adaptation was allowed by the thing that enabled our brains to get bigger. I don't know. I need to do more research into it, not just because I want to be able to talk about it, because ultimately you guys don't care if I'm just sitting here talking shit like a stoner. You guys get it, but it fascinates me. It genuinely does. I think the story of humanity is so interesting. So interesting. I do. I think history is fascinating, and I think the farther you go back, the more fascinating it is. Something that has always fascinated me is wondering how far back some feuds go. And, like, there's some obvious ones that go really far back, like the Protestant versus Catholic feud, in places where that's concentrated. There's a few places where you can trace it back neatly and nicely to this one core event, but then I know there are other things that are, like, even more ancient than that perhaps don't express themselves in the same way. It's like, how long have French and German people been fighting with each other? I wonder. I genuinely wonder. How long have groups of people in what is now called France and groups of people in what is now called Germany been fucking invading each other's land and fighting each other? I bet it's been thousands of years. Thousands and thousands. Shit, France and Germany, pre-Rome. Exactly, pre-Rome. These two groups of people have been fighting each other for literally time immemorial. That's crazy to think about. And it genuinely makes you wonder, what the fuck started it? Or is it just like this one continuous theme? I don't know. I'm not an expert on all things as much as I wish I was. And if I listen to you Luddites that watch me, apparently AI is no good at telling you anything about this shit either. So, fuck if I know. I'm sure there's some books I can read about it. I hope you guys don't mind me calling you, you Luddites that watch me. I'm a proud Luddite. It started as a pro-labor movement. I really don't know shit about, Luddiatry or whatever it's called. Somehow I doubt it's like Luddiatry. Come to think of it, that's probably not what it's called. But as you can tell, I clearly don't know jack about it. So you'll have to forgive me. I just kind of use it as a catch-all term for anybody that I perceive as being mildly against technology. Luddiatry, dude. Luddiatry. Y'all think that one's bad? The other day I was in Deep Fat Fried's Kick Chat. They were talking about this band, Hall & Oates. And I was like, I've always thought Hall & Oates was a good band name. And Paul was like, he said, Hall & Oates. It's Hall and Oates, not Hall & Oates, you hayseed. I really did think it was Hall & Oates, though. I just figured it was a good band name. I was like, oh, if we can't laugh at ourselves, what do we have? Oh, shit. Did you really? Yes. Yes, that was not a joke. Yeah, I really did. I thought you were joking about Hall & Oates. No, dude, I really thought the name of the fucking band was Hall & Oates with a little apostrophe at the end of Holland instead of a G, and oats, like the cereal grain. Everyone has vacated my vicinity. Yay, Margot can finally sleep. That's so dope, Margot. Yeah, dude. I literally thought it was spelled and pronounced Hall and Oates. Not Hall and Oates. Hall and Oates. Oh, shit. Oh, I have to charge my phone now. Well, good night, Marco. We're going to be getting off here in a few minutes, too. My tooth's hurting me. And, it's like 3:17 in the morning, which means if I get off here now, I can go to sleep. Like, earlier than I have been. Speaking of bands, should probably get my tickets instead of being on stream, but fuck it. Your tickets... Oh, yeah, you said you're going to concerts this year. I can't wait to go to the Deep Fat Fried meetup in Nolans, I tell you that much. I wonder what... Nah, dude, I don't have any original material. I can't even offer. I mean, I do have original material. I'm just self-conscious about it. Of course, then again, I'm not self-conscious about my controversial songs, other than for the fact that they're controversial. And I do have plenty of those. I just need to, you know what, maybe, I don't know. All I'm trying to say is that if they don't have, like, musical accompaniment or whatever already arranged, and the God Bombs are busy, I hope they remember that their girl Phoebe has performed for audiences as big as theirs before. Of course, I don't know if I'm quite their vibe either. I'm not saying I'll be offended, I'm just fucking putting it out there in the universe. Either way, come hell or high water, I'm going to that Nolans meetup. There's a Deep Fat Fried meetup in NOLA. There is going to be a DFF meetup in NOLA. I'm not sure what the dates are going to be. I will keep you guys posted as I know. Dude, are there any people from my community that would get tickets to go to that shit just to like mostly to come see me? Because I know for a fact the guys don't have problems selling tickets. Like they don't care who buys a ticket. They just want people to come to the meetup. And there's enough adjacency between our audiences. I'm pretty sure they would not mind me sending you guys over their way when they announce the ticket sales. Speaking of bands, should probably get my tickets instead of being Baby Metal, Amon Amarth, Electric Cowboy, Sabaton, and Mad Eye. Ooh, those are some really good bands, actually. Baby Metal announced New World Tour and Beyond Hype. Ooh, you're going to be spoiled this year. I'd like to go, but as an anxious Canadian, I'm too afraid to travel to the U.S. You know, I can't blame you there. Yeah, I'll probably go if in NOLA I can take a train. Hell yeah. Hell, depending on when it is, I could even fucking give you a ride, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to see. Glitch Dash has said that he would that he still wants to road trip with me down to the next meetup. So, and if he goes the right way, I would be right in his like path. Well, Deep Fat Fried is a podcast, so it's like a meetup, and they preface it with like I don't know, like 30 minutes to 45 minutes worth of music beforehand. And it's in the past, it's been like there was a rapper one year. He didn't exactly work out from my understanding, but he's still a cool guy in the community. The last couple of meetups, it's been like edgy goth rock people. I don't quite know how to describe their music, but the God Bombs, you can look them up, the God Bombs. I like their music. It's not exactly like my main gig, but I liked the music. I liked being there. I liked getting drunk to it. It was good. It suited the purpose. I recommend them. What's the fear for travel in the U.S.? Folks in Warhammer community complain about it, but I don't get it. I mean, Joey, could that possibly be because of the political side you're on? No, I don't know. It's because, like, ICE has been fucking with people that aren't Like, here's the thing, ICE has been fucking with people that are citizens. So if you're not a citizen of the US, being in the US does seem like kind of a dangerous proposition, because ICE is in the airports. It seems like they're just looking for an excuse to pull someone out of line and inconvenience them. Seems like a lot of what makes people get targeted is like politically motivated shit. And maybe you don't agree with any of that, but that, or maybe you don't like think that that's right for the ICE people to be doing people that way or whatever. However you feel about it, that is where the fear comes from. It's the idea of getting pulled out of line at an airport by ICE and inconvenienced or possibly prevented from entering the country because of some politically motivated reason, or for no reason really, other than like the general political motivation of, ooh, we got to keep these scary foreigners out of our country. Not an unfounded concern. Yeah, no, definitely. And I would need more info. Yeah, I mean, it's not something I would recommend for everybody. I mean, I will tell you this much. The DFF guys are different content creators for me. We share a common etymology because, in the same way that they were heavily inspired by Howard Stern, I was heavily inspired by them. So there's like some crossover and some similarity there. But I'm more of like a chill, laid back, kind of like airy, planty, hippie type. And Paul is definitely a hippie, but he's more like the edgy hippie type. And TJ is just like an outright, just fucking crazy, self-worshipping edgelord, which is awesome. I'm not talking no shit. It's cool, but very different from me. At least seems like. And Scotty is just a cool guy. He's like edgy by brunt of his interests and humor, but not really in his manner of dress usually. Y'all share ants? Ants? Good night, Margot. We love you. Sorry you had to deal with that. Yeah, no. A lot of people are worried about the birthright stuff, and I can't blame them for being worried, because it does seem like it's a real issue. They really want to push through this idea that, nope, you're no longer a valid citizen if you just happen to be born in the United States. You also have to be born to people who are citizens. It's like, huh? Like, there are people who aren't citizens who are Americans, full and full. Like, there are stateless people in this country that are effectively non-citizens. Why the fuck would you share ants unless you wanted to watch them commit unspeakable war crimes to each other? Well, okay, but what if you wanted to watch them commit unspeakable war crimes against each other? Totally unrelated, total change of pace, but I really wish that I really wish I had one of those like truck portable, or like home based sawmill things. I don't know how to put it, but I wish I had some way to process down a lot of these old ass trees and fallen down timber and shit like that into stuff that was more useful. Then share ants, yes. Wait, New Orleans TJ Scotty? Is this the Amazing Atheist? Well, yeah. Yeah, who else did you think I was talking about? Y'all, I'm blind as a bat. I had school record for that in high school, Forester class. I watched The Drunken Peasants till it all fell apart. Still remember when the Milo Y podcast blew up? Yeah, dude. Okay, so you're like an old school fan. Well, Deep Fat Fried is the show they formed after Drunken Peasants all blew up. And I still watch Deep Fat Fried to this day. I'm a mod on their channel. Me and TJ are friends. They're really cool fucking dudes. And Deep Fat Fried is a pretty fun show to watch, although it is kind of being like, it is under assault by YouTube right now, so they're trying to move to Kick. But the weird thing is, both of those shows still exist. Drunken Peasants still exists. Ben still pulls a living off of Drunken Peasants to this day. I keep begging him to let me on there, because I don't care how many views that show's getting, I love it, and I will always love it, and it'll always be a part of, like, at least some part of my media diet. You know, I don't watch it all the time these days. In fact, I don't usually watch much at all lately, but I go through my phases where I'll check back in and see what they're doing and beg Ben to have me on, and he'll always be like, I want to schedule you and Paul together. And I'm like, okay. I still remember Banana Gate. Oh my god, you've been around forever. Girl, are you collecting Social Security yet? That's 2011. Remember Billy the Fridge? Billy the Fridge was on Deep Fat Fried like a month ago. Billy the Fridge was on that bitch. Okay, yeah, gotcha. So you're a little bit older than me then. Cool. That makes sense. That tracks. We've got similar memories of the same events. My thoughts are Ben was a not so secret Nazi. I don't think so at all. Man, I think that they liked to skirt controversy, and I think that Ben likes to hang out with iconoclasts. But there's lots of people that are like that. I don't think Ben is a fucking secret Nazi. At least not from what I can tell based on his political takes and the things that he has to say, like in the things that he criticizes other people for. Like, he makes fun of Brett Keane for being a Trump supporter all the time. I don't know. Maybe. But also, Ben has always been one of the keenest voices to call out anti-Semitism, too. Like, he'll make jokes about it, but he'll also, like, critically call it out in a way that I don't feel like a Nazi would do. But, man, what do I know? I don't know the dude personally. I just assume he's not a fucking Nazi. I haven't watched Ben's content since the breakup, so I'm just speculating. Well, I get I get the misconception or the misapprehension. Like you said, hanging out with Sam Hyde and the Kekistani flag. But, like, you have to understand too, it was a different era, man, when that Kekistani flag was hanging. There were genuinely lots of people who just looked at it as an edgy thing, and like I used to make Kek jokes, and I didn't even realize it was a Nazi thing until like 2 or 3 years into making Kek jokes, and then I started noticing that some of the people I'd make those jokes around online would then start talking racist shit. And so I looked into it and I was like, oh, okay, all right, okay. And now I don't do it, but like, one of the reasons why the MAGA movement was able to evolve was because they genuinely did create this environment where it was incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to tell post irony from true irony, from real shit that people actually believe. That's why Pepe was so dangerous. 100%, yeah. Because if you didn't know any better, you were just, using rare Pepes and, using them as meme reactions and stuff like that. And I think at this point, the left has been able to reclaim Pepe, but there was a long time when it was like such an effective dog whistle because the people who did know its function as a dog whistle were able to use it in a way that made it clear to others who were in the know, but they were also able to propagate the symbols so widely into culture that became the culture became inoculated with it effectively, inoculated against the idea of thinking of it as an automatically hateful thing. It made it very difficult for people to play the that's the wrong way to word it. It made it very difficult for people to draw direct lines and illusions. Does Paul Zigo or his friend's brother worked on a nuclear sub and thought the Earth was flat? Do they come on Deep Fat Fried? Oh my God! Wait, what? His friend with the ponytail and glasses. His friend's brother worked on a nuclear sub. Thought the Earth was flat. What? Yeah, Paul Zigo's on Deep Fat Fried. He's a regular host. Yeah. I'm trying to think who the fuck, like who? Gail. They've covered some Gail content, and I think they've wanted to have Gail on DFF, but they haven't been able to get in touch. Gail has been on Drunken Peasants, though, at this point. Gail's been on DP a couple of times. Like, as herself, genuinely came on, had a good time with Ben. And Ben is now, like, fiercely defensive of Gail. Like, she's, like, his adopted grandma or something. It's actually quite cute. Ben doesn't put up with people fucking around with Gail or trolling Gail or being mean to Gail, and I just think it's nice. If you're gonna keep a lol cow ranch, the least you can do is be a decent rancher. Yes, Gail Cord Schuler. You guys know Gail wrote a book where there's like a trans version of herself that has a prominent like character arc. Yeah, dude, Gail writes some funny shit. She's a good writer. Not even because she's like technically skilled, but because she's got such an imagination. She's got such a powerful imagination. I envy it, honestly. She's got a better imagination, twice my age. than I do at half her age. That being said, old man's got to go lay down a lot of their steak power. Yeah, no, 100%. No doubt about that. Let me see. Replacing Sheila Boof's flag was hysterical and scary. Impressive, though, by 4chan. Replacing Sheila Boof's flag? Oh, yeah, now I know. Would I be interested in this podcast? Honestly, Joey, you might find, if you like my content, you might like theirs. They're like your age group, I would say, and a lot of their humor is kind of like the same type of edgy humor that I'm prone to myself, except they're a little better at it, But that's all right, because I'm better at geopolitics than they are, so they can be funnier than me all they want. No, Gail didn't transition. No, she has a character in one of her books that has a prominent character arc that is a version of Gail that is a trans woman. So it's just a character in her book, but I just think it reveals a lot. It goes to show you that Gail is harmless and a sweetie pie, because also in that book is a version of Gail that is black, a version of Gail that is a child, a version of Gail that is gay, a version of Gail that is Asian, one that's Mexican. She's got like the Rainbow Coalition of Gails in one of her books. Well, they do cover the news, but they cover it from a comedic angle. Like when I cover the news, it's mostly to give people a rundown about how I feel about it, what I think the implications of it are. I'm just a YouTuber, but I try to have a baseline level of journalistic integrity where I think, I try to give you guys both what I think is going to happen as a result and what I wish would happen instead. Like, obviously, I'm a commentator first and foremost. I'm going to put a spin on it, but I also try to tell people genuinely, what do I think what do I think the truth of this is, and what do I think this is going to lead to? So it's analysis. A lot of it, like my content is analysis heavy. Their content is more comedy heavy. So like they'll cover the news, but they're mostly, using it to make jokes about how fucked up the world is, or about how, something might actually be kind of good to come to fruition for this reason or that reason. It's good shit. It's at Deep Fat Fried on YouTube. Very easy to find. Very cool show. When Paul said nuking Iran would cause Iranians to surrender, I had an aneurysm. Oh, man. Well, yeah. Me too. Me too, blood. Me too. Listen, the old man's lost his touch a little bit. I love him to death, okay? I ain't talking no shit. I still think he's been right the vast majority of the time. But I think sometimes he gets a little out in left field when he starts theory crafting. Like, come on now. What the fuck makes you think Iranians are gonna surrender because we nuke the fuck out of them? It worked on Japan because Japan's a tiny country full of people who are programmed from birth to look at big, powerful displays of power as, like, and not only that, but the reason why, like, the Japanese surrendered is more down to the fact that the emperor saw the power of the nuke and didn't want that to be used on his whole country. But Iran is going to look at one or two nukes and they're going to Like, number one, a lot of their power structure is decentralized already. So in my opinion, they would look at one or two nukes and be like, oh, okay, what? Like, they're going to keep on going because what is the implication? At this point in time, you launch nukes, there might be nukes in repercussion. Nobody wants to do it. And the Iranians are going to assume, well, we've seen two, we're probably not going to see any more. And it'll be back to the Shahed drones. I think there is a misconception popular amongst American political commentators to assume that the might of the American military always sends a clear and distinct message that makes people want to surrender. And I think it just depends on the people. It doesn't seem to be true, though. It doesn't seem to be true. It seems like every conflict we have won in our nation's history, we've won after a prolonged conflict of multiple years. Phoebe, do you remember Cody Weber? I do remember Cody Weber. Japan loves the sun, so we dropped a portable sun. Yeah, we were just trying to give them a little bit of extra energy. It's not our fault that it fell a little bit too low, okay? Listen, it didn't exactly stay on profile. If you like that kind of humor, you'll love Deep Fat Fried. I do that kind of humor, but, you know, unless I say some retarded shit, it's harder for me to say stuff in a way that's, like, funny and jokey. So I'm really good at the, like, deadpan thing. I am so lost, but I'm still Hall & Oates stuck. The Hall & Oates chat lock, dude. The Hall & Oates chat stun lock is real. Speaking of Israel, this fucking wind is Israeli. Is that crickets I hear? It is crickets you hear. How have we stayed up this late, y'all? How is it almost 4 in the morning again? Sorry, Phoebe, I'm turning into member berries. What the fuck? Real talk, the origin of Godzilla's roar is horrifying. What is it? Can you tell me what it is? Thank you, King Bugs, for the $10. Ooh, we eating good next month, y'all. I can already tell. Dude, King Bugs, you are such a legend. I've already made, in like a day or two, like 2 days basically of this month, I've already made a third or like a fourth of what I made last month. And it's only 2 days into the month. I feel so fucking privileged. I hope that doesn't sound like a horrible thing to say. This is such a cool job. It is genuinely neat to be able to just sit out here, have a long extended smoke break with cool people, and get paid for it. Did not know that. Yeah, see, I should have shut up. I should have just shut up, because, you know, now I sound desperate. No, I mean, you know, numbers have been climbing since I started getting monetized. Every so often I'll have a month that's down from the month before, but for the most part, it's... Oh, about Godzilla. Oh, okay. They used a pine tar drenched glove, and when they brushed it on a grandfather base, the producer said they heard the screams of those who died in the blast. Oh, shit. Either the glove or the instrument was found in wreckage of one of the blasts. That is fucking that's insane. And I believe it, dude. I don't know how much I believe in the concept of a human soul that can be transmitted and shit like that, but it is hard for me to find any other explanation for how shit just seems so haunted sometimes. No, it sounds like genuine gratitude. I hope so. It is. It is definitely genuine, I'll tell you that much. Specifically a contrabass? Contrabass. Is that the one that's huge? I know the double bass is the big one, but is the contrabass the one that you have to like stand on a ladder to play? I do genuinely like helping out too, Phoebe. Well, just know that you help out a ton, and I appreciate it more than you know. More than I can properly illustrate, that's for sure. It is super fucking cool to be able to do this, and it's super fucking cool to be able to think that I might be able to actually, like, build things up a little bit this year. So I appreciate it. The original 1954 version recreated wreckage scenes to show Godzilla as a metaphor for nuclear war. That makes sense. That tracks. I think people forget about that fact these days. They definitely don't. They definitely forget about it. Japan isn't religious, but they believe all things have soul. I agree with them. I like panpsychism. It once again goes back to Derek Jensen. If you look at a tree and you see a tree, then you'll treat it one way. And if you look at a tree and you see a chair, then you'll treat it another way. And if you look at a tree and you see dollar bills, then you'll treat it another way still. If you look at a stone or a tree and you believe that they have a soul, that they experience something on some level, you're less prone to be careless about what you do with that stone or that tree. You're more likely to be very careful and deliberate in your decision making about it. But if you look at those things and you just see resources, then, well, if it's not useful to you and if it's not in the way, maybe it just stays. But if it is useful, oh boy. I have felt sad for a plastic bag before. Who hasn't engaged in that time-honored American custom? It's because we anthropomorphize the damn thing. We look at the bag blowing to the wind and we see ourselves. Dirty kids are particularly bad about that shit, dude. I have had that conversation with every DK I've ever met. We're walking along, going to the smoke shop or something like that. And you see an empty bag blow across the street. And you just kind of look at each other. You're like, yeah. DK is in Dirty Kid. Plastic used to be a dino. I know, isn't that crazy? Oil came from before drinks existed. From before dinks existed? Dinos. That's funny. Yeah, no, my understanding is that most oil is actually composed of ancient trees, isn't it? Or is that coal? Fuck, I don't know. Who the fuck knows? Before bacteria evolved to break them down, oil is actually primarily made of ancient phytoplankton. Wait, what? Well, what happened to the phytoplankton-y stuff? It just occurred to me how retarded that sentence sounds. I wish I didn't fry my brain with acid. Because I feel like I was smarter before I did. Did I used to know this and now I don't? Who the fuck knows? But like, how the fuck? I get it. Carbon is the basis of all life forms, and hydrocarbons are just like oil is basically just like concentrated remainders of shit that goes X. I don't know. Where does it go? What is it? What happens to it? Because a phytoplankton is not just a little oil droplet. You know? If people exist, why be a monkey? Shut up, Daniel. Okay, come on now. Give me more credit than that. It's still dinosaurs and trees and shit, but the reality is that the vast majority of oil mass is from microscopic marine life. Oil is preserved stuff mid-decomp from those tiny organelle things munching it. Huh? I'm fascinated by the natural world, but as becomes obvious to anyone who listens to me for more than 20 minutes when we're not talking politics, I really know next to nothing about it. Just enough to get myself in trouble. So, like, because I knew oil was like decomposed living matter. That's implied by the phrase fossil fuel. But I didn't know it was mostly. Hold on, though. So, what made all the damn limestone then? That don't make a goddamn lick of sense either. Oh, fuck. You know what? Fuck it. I'm a Christian. God done did it. God done did it. I reject a higher order explanation. I'm joking, by the way. If that's not clear. I'm just kidding. It's just one of those things that's misrepresented because it makes it more interesting to teach kids about. I get it. I get that. It okay. I do. It makes sense on some level. Fucking Joey. Alrighty, well, it's been a long night, hasn't it, guys? But it's almost 4 in the morning now, and it seems like it might maybe rain. I can't see the moon anymore. The wind has been pretty fierce all night, so that doesn't really mean anything. I tell you what, though, I'm going to feel good sleeping in my bed tonight because I always do after spending a lot of time outside. I love being outside. I love being outside. I love being outside. Sorry, that was an autism moment. That was definitely an autism moment, but it's okay. If you've ever doubted my diagnosis, now you don't. I want to live outside, dog, or as close as I can to it. Fuck, I miss being on the road. Not living in a van, being on the road. There's a difference, man. I don't miss living in a fucking minivan. That shit was for the birds. But I could deal with living in a little Class C RV. I could deal with that. Damn it, waking up for work equals time to go to bed, young lady. Definitely. It's almost 5 for me. Okay, so yeah, for sure. We do need to go to bed. I need to go to bed. The royal we. Thank you guys for hanging out. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys for signing up for memberships. We are only, I believe at this point, like, let me think here. We're like 72. No, 68. I think we're like 68 members away from the 12-hour show. So hopefully we'll achieve that goal in the next few days. But I appreciate those of you who donated memberships. I appreciate you guys that donate here regularly, of course. I appreciate all of you guys so much. It's fun to have an audience to sit around and smoke with, you know. With that being said, I'm going to peace out for the night. Thank you guys for chilling with me. Peace.